In a rare move, the IRS announced yesterday that it has been making mistakes. Yes, it has admitted that it has erroneously been sending out balance due notices. That's the CP14. You know the CP14 if you've been on my channel for any length of time. That is the notice and demand letter. That is the first notice that goes out after someone files a tax return showing a balance due. Basically, they say, hey, here's what we think you owe us. In this taxpayer's case, $52,000, and you need to pay it to us by date future. Okay. Problem is, IRS is apparently sending a lot of these notices to people who actually already paid the tax due previously, along with the return. Let's check out this notice here from just yesterday. IRS statement on balance due notices. The IRS is aware that some taxpayers are receiving CP14 balance due no math error notices indicating a balance due even though payments were made with their 2023 tax return. Who is affected? Taxpayers who paid electronically or by check with their 2023 tax return may show their accounts as pending, although the IRS has received and processed payment through their banking institution. You can imagine the frustration here. Let's say somebody owes $10,000 to the IRS. They see it on their tax return. They pay the IRS $10,000 along with their tax return. They see it cleared their bank, and then they get one of these CP14 notices saying, hey, you owe us $10,000 with penalties and interest. That must be a very, very frustrating experience. So here's kind of the IRS's excuse. The notice, the CP14 notice, may have been initiated before the payment was processed on the account, or the payment may have been processed but contain errors and requires additional handling to address the error before updating the tax account. Basically, this is just the IRS being the IRS. And not to kind of, I hope this doesn't become a super long rant, but you can't imagine our frustration as well as tax professionals when the IRS makes mistakes like this on our clients' cases, right? Because and this happens in other contexts as well, right? Where we help a client out, we get them into a resolution or something like this, and then the IRS sends them a notice saying something else, and then of course the client's asking us, hey, what's going on? I thought you fixed this, and really the fault is with the IRS here in dragging their feet or just having something wrong in their internal systems, and it can just be a very frustrating experience. Well, here's kind of the good news. No immediate action or phone call is needed. Okay, so if you're in this boat, if you filed your 2023 tax return, you made a payment along with the tax return, but you get a CP14 notice saying, hey, you still owe the amount of money that you said that you had paid, right, along with the tax return, you don't have to do anything at this time. It says the IRS is researching the matter and will provide an update as soon as possible. Of course, I'll be following this issue closely as well. It says, note that any assessed penalties and interest will be automatically adjusted when the payments are applied correctly by the IRS. Now, you got to watch out for this. We have a case right now where we're trying to abate over $40,000 of penalties for a client. And the IRS is saying no because we just abated some penalties for them a few years ago. We look at the account transcript. Yeah, the IRS removed a penalty from the account transcript right from the taxpayer's account after the return was filed. But this wasn't, a nice move from the IRS to abate the penalty. That penalty should never have been there in the first place, right? So the IRS's argument that they shouldn't abate this current penalty for over $40,000, based on the fact that they just, were nice to the taxpayer a few years ago and abated their penalties a few years ago, that doesn't hold water, right? Because that penalty from a few years ago should have never been there in the first place, right? It should have never been in there for the IRS to even have to go and remove. So you got to watch out for this. If you're in a similar situation in a few years, you really need some penalty abatement. And if the IRS says, well, in 2023, we already forgave one of your penalties, say, no, that doesn't hold water. You should not have assessed that penalty in the first place because I paid my taxes on time. It's just that, your system screwed up, IRS. Taxpayers who paid only part of the tax reported on their 2023 tax return should pay the remaining balance or follow instructions on the notice to enter into an installment agreement or request additional collection alternatives. And you know what these collection alternatives are, right? Partial payment installment agreement, hardship status, that's CNC, offer and compromise, or some other resolution. All the types of stuff that I talk about all day with my staff anyway, and at least a few times a week here on my YouTube channel. If you want to know more about these IRS tax resolution options, check out this video here at the upper left-hand corner of your screen. And if you got an IRS notice, check out my playlist about IRS notices here at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. If you need help with your back taxes or unfiled tax returns, reach out to us. Choice Tax Relief, 866-8000-TAX, or fill out the form at choicetaxrelief.com. All right, everybody, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.